Eric, that's an interesting note, and it takes us into our scratches tonight. Tyrell Hammer-Jackson and Tony Malcolm for Las Vegas. On the other side, Cam Accioni, Dylan Watson for the Seals. With Kurse taking the draws and Hammer-Jackson not in the lineup tonight, tells you a little bit about Sean Williams' ideas.
It does. He thinks that they were going to be in a disadvantage anyways, going against Trevor Baptiste, who's leading the league with close to 75%.
They did go 3 for 5 a week ago, however. Be interesting to see how it performs tonight. On the putback, Ben McIntosh down low, it's 1-0. A new look unit with a lot of different faces and a lot more talent, frankly, than they've had the last couple of years. John Donville gets one to go. And Eric, that's great news for Sean Williams' team. Playing with only two true left-handed forwards in Robinson and Armitage. Zach Currier the other. But with Dylan Watson getting the scratch tonight, that's an interesting dynamic that also is something we saw a week ago.
It is. They kind of played offense by committee as Westberg steals it back.
And hits the crossbar.
A hurts donut, as he would.
Jones, submarines one wide of the net. No reset of the shot clock as Donville works it back to Klushek. Logan, the point defender, and Klushek burns it from the point. Back-to-back for Vegas, it's 2-1. The shot clock already at 15, still struggling to get into their offense as Jackson Webster, drifts away from traffic, steps in. Webster gets it past O'Riglieri. They lost track of him, and he finds the net. Unsettled for Vegas as LaFontaine, the vet, pulls it up and allows Donville to trot it back into the offensive third. Donville, one of the 3 goals so far for the Dogs, gets his second. 4 straight for Vegas.
That kind of gives you an individual effort. So we'll see if San Diego starts to maybe be okay with running a little bit more.
Hit the inside of the pipe, it's a goal, and surely to be reviewed, but no Armitage. Jones trying to muscle underneath, flips it behind, now to Wesley, back up to the top, rather behind the net. O'Riglieri gets across and makes the save, denying Poitras his 30th of the year. We'll pull it out with the final seconds ticking off here. He throws it away. A 1-on-none for Wesley. Wesley saved at the buzzer.
There'll be a lot of coaches making a lot of money. So it's just one of those unique things that sometimes you just go through those years. Last year, San Diego was so good in close games. And this year, during that 5-game losing streak, really all those games were settled by less than 1 or 2 goals.
Big face-off win for Baptiste as Vegas began the quarter with 29 seconds of power play time left, and San Diego can now kill the rest of that successfully. Armitage, a late goal in the first quarter to stop a 4-0 Vegas run. Leclerc under 10 to shoot. Leclerc! First in a month! Seals have scored back-to-back to cut this thing to a 1-goal game.
Now, Coop, when you look at those offensive maybe efficiencies.
Berg ties it! Get into the field, especially with how the format works in the first round being a 1-game playoff. Leclerc, big save, Bouquet sweeping across the net, but has his pocket picked by Armitage for a fresh shot clock.
He's in a great article that Inside Lacrosse had on him a couple weeks ago. Him talk about, he thought maybe his career was done, but coming back to Vegas, it's allowed him to kind of reset mentally and just know to stay in the moment.
Currier up over top! Baptiste won the clamp, but sends it right to Reese Blake, who gets clobbered by a couple of Seals, but able to get it across. Now numbers. Sonnen ties it back up. So there's no way both of these teams can get in. Donville circling, back around. Crowley stings it up in the corner.
And every extra opportunity.
Currier. Mom goal, picks it up. Currier, my goodness! What on God's green earth was that? Jones surveys off to Donville. He shops around looking for help. Under 10 to shoot. Now Jones steps in, and Jones ties it up. First of the game for Mitch Jones, who's been in a scoring drought. With the numbers they set the first 14 games of the year.
And it's been those big three that we kind of called out at the beginning that have stepped up.
And Poitras, back-to-back for the Dogs. They'll slow it up. 45 seconds left in the half. Can the Seals tie it before the break? Yes, they can! Ben McIntosh! San Diego wins the face. They'll hold for what likely will be the final shot, but cannot pull their goaltender as there is a 4-second differential. Courier hits the pipe on what would have been his fourth of the half. Robinson circling, Leclerc trying to feed behind the net, loose out front. Final seconds tick off the clock. Tied at 8 at halftime. Vegas, the league's top scoring offense by goals per game. San Diego, second to last in goals per game. Low pass from Berg to Robinson. Retrieves it, 5 to shoot. Robinson hits the pipe up into the netting. It'll be a reset for San Diego. Doorstep feed, loose ball. It's a goal on the floor. Kells did not start the game, came on with 40 seconds left in the second after a topsy-turvy first half for Alex Bouquet. Courier free, Courier! Shot clock off, Kluche fires it wide, had Origlieri guessing.
Who does this favor? You know, I was thinking that was going to favor Vegas, but really San Diego's completely controlled the second half and made it a game that they want to be. Just a 2-0 run for them to make it a 2-goal game. Now to start the fourth, yeah, you're going down a player, and Vegas has shown that they've been great, and San Diego not so great at the man down, giving up 4 goals last week. But this is where they want to be. They feel going in 2 goals. The strength of your team is your defense. Now, you can somehow pull this game off. You're going to be looking at it, and there's the man that we called out to begin the game.
What was that? Wesley Berg short-handed. Vegas hasn't scored since the 1:15 mark remaining in the second. Shutout since halftime. Kluche gets one far corner and scores. Seals hadn't had a run of 3-0 or more in 3 games. They've done it twice with 4-0 runs tonight. Armitage scores! A hat trick! Gooses it back in the shot clock violation before he's dumped and slow to get up. Numbers for Vegas here. They hit the pipe off the stick of Webster. Or Wesley, excuse me. Now White by himself. White! Save again by Kells. Can't get it on net despite a good look. Bounces to Donville. Still time. 15 seconds. Kluche defended by Logan. They lost him. Kluche with time. He hits the pipe. Defensive breakdown bailed out by the bar. Loose ball tie up as Kluche retrieves it and the shot clock resets. Big loose ball for the Desert Dogs.
Trey Leclerc trapped on defense there. He actually was waiting at the midfield line. If they could have picked that ball up, he would have been on a fast break. But now he's got to stay up and he's got to play defense on Kevin Crowley.
Leclerc played transition the second half of his rookie season. Donville, his hat trick goal.
In a stat book, or if you're just looking at the sheet, what he does, but that's an excellent job of just picking up that ball and then getting it over the line before that 8 seconds and making it tough.
5 for Zach Courier. Just 2 goals in the second half for the Desert Dogs after an explosion of 8 in the first half. Poitras hits the pipe for the second time tonight. They're going to have to repaint those after the game.
They need a new ball because there's some mark on it.
Gets it off Origlieri and in. Poitras off the feed from Jones.
That is huge. Time is on their side. You want to take up as much of that clock as you possibly can.
Here's McIntosh. McIntosh! 3-goal game, power play still for a minute for Vegas.
You saw that in that last set, the way that Vegas moved the ball, had a good opportunity, but Bradley just the guy on the spot.
Kluche, huge goal, back to a 2-goal game. Saved by Origlieri to put an exclamation point on the win. It's a final in San Diego.